He's drinking from a puddle, that's what he's doing. I thought that, you know, after killing and eating, quite often you might find that the blood content of the kill can satisfy the thirst, but it is quite a salty diet, just the blood and the meat and everything else, and they do require water. So, not surprisingly, also with all the rain that we've had, these puddles are fairly, I mean, they're really clean. I've seen even humans drinking from even dirtier puddles. So water for a leopard is it's not a major issue if it's a little bit muddy. We've seen cats drinking from really thick muddy water. I guess their stomach can handle it. If they've got to digest the kind of stuff that they have to, then they're not too worried about the quality of their water the way elephants are. He's been feeding most of the day, judging by the amount of food in his tummy. He's got a very big round tummy. Stomach is full. Even debatable whether he's going to go back for the scraps that he's left. And I just move back an inch, otherwise we lose him as he goes past the front of the vehicle. Don't want to push him off the road, and I want to intimidate him that he's not going to carry on walking the way he wants to go. And oh, my hat. I've got to keep my head and my hat out of the way. Hello, old man. Oh, what such an incredible pleasure to have a cat that disregards our presence to the extreme, that he carries on doing what he wants to do, and mostly unconcerned. Here we go, he's going to mark his territory now. I think he's going to sniff on some branches here, and maybe, no, he's not. It's a toileting thing. That's going to be smelly. Okay, do we need to censor this? Do we need to... I suppose it's just nature calls. But what was interesting is actually the consistency of what comes out, and as gross as that may sound, it gives us an idea of how long he's been feeding, or gives us an idea of certain things. Because at the beginning of a kill, what comes out is going to be just a lot of dark matter and very wet and very smelly. It's sort of the blood. Now he's going to smell. Now he's going to mark his territory. He's rubbing his cheek glands on this guarri bush. It tends to be guarris because there are no thorns on the guarri bush. And he'll turn around and probably retrospay, yeah, rubbing his cheek glands, and then maybe turn around and spray it once. There's a very good chance too that another leopard has been here because of the way he's, and there we go, lifts the tail and sprays just a little burst of his pheromone, leaving behind for a message for any other cat in the area, maybe Karula, maybe his sons. Kind of like the old days before we had post offices, we had certain trees that we would leave mail messages in the days before the postal service. And in some countries like South Africa, it was actually faster than our current postal service. Even if it took 2 weeks before another rider came by to pick up the male under the tree, it was still faster than what we've ever had here, or what we've been experiencing here. Another form of scent marking and another form of marking is what he's doing now, scratching with his hind feet, glands between the toes, that also secretes scent. What is the purpose of the white tip to the tail of a leopard? From Teresa in San Antonio in Texas. Hello Teresa, great to hear from you. Teresa wants to know, well, Teresa, it is largely a communication thing. You know, a lot of these animals don't have a vocabulary. In fact, most of the animals out here don't have vocabulary, they have body language. And in conjunction with the markings on the back of the ear, the black and white markings on the back of the ear, you have the black and white markings, the tip of the tail. It is to show intent, it is to communicate with other cats, it is to have, right, not for his purposes, but for certainly that when it comes to a leopardess, having the cubs help, or assisting the cubs following the female. It has all got to do with body language. Once again, there we go. Bringing down branches and spraying his territory. He's making his way towards Philemon's Dip. He's heading on this old pathway that runs down here. We might eventually lose him, but hopefully we might pick him up again. And after spraying, he's doing that other very typical thing, is scratching on the ground and rolling and quite clearly leaving his scent. Oh, pussycat, pussycat, how I love thee. Any of you cat lovers, you can see a little bit of your domestic cat in him when he's doing this rolling and rubbing, and that big fat tummy sticking out there that's full of little steenbok. Oh, he's heavy. He's gorged himself. No wonder he's left the kill. He might be hitting Philemon's Dip, maybe Treehouse Dam, who knows. Questionable whether he's going to actually come back to this kill. Only he knows whether he will or not. Also, I don't know how far we can follow him through here, because after this rain it can be a little bit mushy down here. We're close to the drainage line and we're just below the silver terminalia line, which means that we're below the ecotone, where we're now turning into a little bit more of a clay soil as opposed to a sandy soil, so it might get a bit mushy. I want to try and follow him as much as we can. No, after you, Alan. No, that's fine. Oh, look at that, jumping up, bringing down a little bit of a young terminalia. I'd like to give Alan a chance to get ahead and follow him, and we'll just sort of hang back. Yeah, no, sure. Well, we were lucky. We escaped that little squall of rain that was coming through a minute ago. Managed to move to the west, heading north. And although there's not as much blue sky as there was half an hour ago, there is a little bit of blue sky to the south. Here's a batelier that's just flying over now. Probably picked up on his presence and might sort of do a few turns to come and see what it can see. Batelier has probably been bored stiff most of the day, not being able to fly much with the weather, but a little bit of wind picking up now, allowing him to look like a big adult male. Bateleur is one of the eagles that's going to come into a leopard kill because they are scavengers, but mostly also because they're scavengers and because they fly at such a low altitude. They're one of the first birds that are going to find a carcass. But not this one. This one is so well hidden. We're following a hippo path. It looks like a hippo path. Can't remember the number of times that we've actually followed Karula or her cubs down this very same pathway along the edge of the drainage line. Mission in Duna spent so much time in this drainage line off to our right. As youngsters, we found them playing with terrapins and monitor lizards over time. There was one of Karula's very silent hunts just behind us amongst this Terminalia veld, where we watched her kill an impala. So it's going to let Helen go through. So very interesting for me to see a leopard like Mvula, who has now taken over this territory, utilizing a lot of the same pathways, a lot of the same area that has been the core of Karula's territory. Of course, his territory is a lot bigger than Karula's, so not that unusual. We're driving. Can you smell that? What is it? Vononia. I think, let's see if we can branch off to the right here. There was once a pathway that we could follow all the way to Philemon's Dip, and let's see if we can manage to follow him, because I think that's where he's going to come out eventually. Of course, it's a matter of getting through this. Watch, he's going to jump up and grab this quarry. Watch this. Oh, I love it when a leopard does that. Trying to bring the branches down. He's scenting something. I'm sure that probably Karula's been here. But he's scenting something and then turning around and spraying himself. Guarri is probably one of their favorite trees. The guarri bush that he's just been rubbing against. Probably one of the most widely utilized plants that they rub against, they bring down and scent on, because it has no thorns. It's also, the leaves don't come off very easily. The guarri is one of the hardiest of plants. And we're going through a little bit of the silver cluster leaf as well, so he's been using that too. No thorns on it. They don't want to be grabbing the likes of a knob thorn or something and doing that. So the softest of leaves and the best leaves, because they're broad leaves, they persist on the tree year round. One of the best leaves to leave your scent on. Doesn't get browsed by game very much. And see, there's another one, another guarri bush is approaching. All of this along the length of this pathway. Hello, Ria. Ria wanting to know if he's marking so much because the rain washed things away. It's very possible. It's highly likely. Although I think there is a fair amount of scent that lingers after the rain has, even though the rain might wash things away. But yes, it's quite likely. But the other reason I would say that the reason why he is marking the way he is because he just hasn't been here for some time, and the nature of a cat like this is to maintain your scent throughout your territory. So it's a little bit of both, Ria. It's a little bit of the fact that maybe the rain has washed a lot of the scent away, but also the fact that it's time for him to visit this part of his territory and to scent in this area of his territory. It might be an indication that he knows that the weather's going to be clearing soon and that he's not going to need to come back past here and re-scent if the rain does wash it away. But you know, we only have an inkling of an idea of how efficient or how I'm trying to find the right word, how incredible their scent, their olfactory abilities are. So we don't know how much they can still scent after a rain, and I'm sure that there is a fair amount of it that they can scent. But yes, I would say you're quite right, Ria, that there's a part of the reason for this is that the last time he might have been here marking this area or this part of his territory might have been a long time ago, and by now it's starting to fade and exacerbated by the rain, and that he now needs to re-establish his boundaries in this part of his territory. It doesn't mean that this is the boundary of his territory. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're on the edge of it, but it is within his territory. He's perked up a little bit. He's looking, those ears you see and the tail. There's definitely something up ahead. There's something that he's starting to concentrate on. He's changed his body language enough for me to read. Listening to us at the back here, but he's still concentrating on something up ahead. But the one thing that a leopard has no control over is the tip of the tail and that twitching of the tip of the tail. And then lifting the tail, telling me that he's lost interest in it. But that's also because there's a bird that is starting to alarm. Sounds like a testicular. So a little bit of his surprise has been given away. Maybe there's Nyala. Might be something further on that he perked his ears up to, he was looking at, and now no longer interested in. Hello, pussycat. Just looking at something just behind us. Another guarri bush to spray on. Is there any pattern to his scent marking, and how big is his territory? There's a question coming from Maurice. Hello, Maurice. Not sure where you're from. But no, there's no pattern. There can't be patterns, Maurice. Everything is random. Everything is just so ordered chaos. There's no pattern. As far as the size of his territory is concerned, I haven't the faintest idea where it extends. I'm sure there are a bunch of people out who track Koro, and his thing that I can really quantify right now. I'm not too sure where his territory extends to. certainly a lot bigger than the territory of a female leopard. Okay, we're coming out onto Philemon's Dip right now. I'm going to try and sort of break away from this and break through onto Philemon's Dip if I can, because he's probably getting out into the open now, and it's, well, no, maybe we can't, not just yet. Maybe we'll just go through this little gap here and see if we can make our way through this bush. Just going out onto the road now. A couple of other vehicles here. We might actually have to leave him again. I'm not sure. And also I've got to let other vehicles get a bit of a better view of him, because we've been very, very lucky to spend a lot of time with him, and hopefully we can continue to follow him. Thanks, Alan. Bye. Bye, girls. Now this is where Scott saw quarantine male the other day, actually, right here where he is now in the dip below the pump house. So there's also a possibility that he's picking up the scent of one of his boys and making a point of actually spraying over that scent, even though the rain has been pretty heavy. I don't think that the scent washes away completely. I think what I've learned of this, the ability of dogs to scent things, and I don't know, Jack, if you're listening, and Jack, if you're watching, Jack on Long Island, has been a dog handler for many years with the police department, will probably attest to it, that rain doesn't necessarily wash the scent away. It might dissolve or it might spread it a little bit, but the scent will always be there, especially with an incredible olfactory system. And I'm getting an idea that he's picking up the scent of something because he's lingering. And the way he's pulling the bushes down to actually rub against, like he's going to do it again now, jumping up into the bushes, I'm thinking that there is scent up there from whether it's Karula or quarantine male or one of the others. But this is the kind of behavior of a leopard that is picking up another scent, not just leaving his own. Right. Time to get him. continue. If Mvula was the father of Karula's cubs, would she allow him near them right now? There's a question from Diane in New York. And Diane, I'm afraid, I think you know what my answer is going to be here. It depends. No, this one isn't a depends so much as it is a nobody knows kind of question. I can't say yes and I can't say no, because the only one who can answer that is Karula herself. And we're just going to have to just wait off here in the background. Maybe have a look at the sausages growing in the sausage tree, because he's not moving very fast on the road. There's the other vehicle up ahead of us that is... I'm going to let them go ahead. I'm starting to... Oh, he's just moving past the pump house. He's going up onto Philemon's cut line. I've just got to check something behind the car. There's a bit of a rattle. See if you can find any of those sausages.
Is it? Oh. Alright. New game. Spot the sausage.
What's the sausage? Which one? Just a branch that was rattling against the differential, against the prop shaft. I didn't want to shine on that, or rather film that other vehicle that's up ahead of us, because there's a very look at him. You can just see him peering at us from. How many times we've seen Mission and Duna playing in this pump house? This is a borehole pump, so it's not great that we have a man-made structure, but they've changed it now. In the old days, all it was sort of 4 poles and an open structure that the cubs could actually get into where the pump is, and they used to play with the funnel that was used to fill it, and they used to play with things there. Mission and Duna spend a lot of time around the sausage tree and in this little drainage line around this pump house. Just that we had the other vehicle in our view, and I didn't want to have the camera pointing there. So just for the time being, just gave him a bit of space to move on. Now we can get a little bit closer again. A lot of water in this drainage line. It's still flowing. It's flowing quite strongly. And just have a quick look here on our left. Gorgeous blue drop-wing dragonfly sitting on a little piece of grass. Foam nest frogs, lovely little pond developing. And time to relax for a cat. Looked like a stiembo.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It was very deep under a bush, so it was hard to really tell.
We watched him last night just before the rain. He was from Quindan's to get to Junction. He was chasing almost everything.
Yeah.
All dogs. The stick.
That was a heavy rain. Did you
Especially if you're out in the vehicle.
yeah, Craig was out, I mean Scott was out in this.
Yeah, we saw him last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the
Was it Scott?
yeah. How much did you have, do you know?
How do you mean?
Millimeters.
Oh, the rain. There by Jacana we had 35 the last day. The day before we had 40. And the day before that we had 26.
It's good, it's time.
So yeah, we almost got 100 in about 3 days.
Have you seen what the flooding that happened Campus Raptors View?
Is it?
Yeah, bad.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it. Right, by Hoedspruit, eh?
Yeah,
By Hoedspruit.
yeah. And closer to the mountain.
Okay.
Having very heavy rains. And Western Sabi Sand as well. Sand rivers in flood.
Oh,
Yeah. Came down heavy. I think we got the edge of it. There was like 160 mils or 200 mils closer to the mountain.